Welcome back to the Severe MMA YouTube page. And today I'm joined by a man who is fighting on Cage Warriors Trilogy Showcase, the first show on Thursday of next week. So Cage Warriors 114, a mixed martial artist hailing from Cork, a master of something in education. I'm not too sure which, but delighted to be joined again by John Mitchell. How are you doing, John?
Yeah, brilliant. Thanks for having me. Good to be back chatting to you.
Of course, of course. So I just mentioned you just finished up a master's there. We were just chatting away. What were you studying?
I was studying sports and exercise management in UCD, so it's good. It's in the back pocket now, and I can just fight now, so it's the job.
Out of the way. And was that taking up a lot of your time during kind of the coronavirus lockdown, or were you still able to get your training in?
Oh yeah, I was still training flat out, because all I really had to do during the lockdown, everything I do was cancelled, so I was just doing assignments and training, so when I wasn't doing assignments, I was training and vice versa. So it was grand. It was handy.
Yeah, and how did you find it, like with the gyms closing and everything like that? Did it affect your training a lot? I guess early days on.
It actually, Joe, I think I made the most of it because Joe, I just did a big strength phase, so I think during that time, that's something I wouldn't really focus on all the time, but during that time I got to develop on stuff that I wouldn't usually do, and I got to really slow down the techniques. And also one of my main training partners, Paul Buckley, he's a beast. He's one of my neighbors, so Joe, we were just training together all the time anyway, so it's actually grand. I was probably training my most during the lockdown, really.
Oh, happy days. And you
Yeah.
kind of mentioned there, you got to slow things down and really focus on certain aspects. As a young fighter, like you're 1-0, I feel like sometimes there's a tendency for when a fighter turns pro, they're immediately looking for it to fight as frequently as possible and just get all the fights in. Do you actually think that you're better served, I guess, by having the time to develop your skill set rather than just rushing into say getting 3 fights in a year or anything like that?
Yeah, 100%. The under Aaron McGuire, I think made out our amateur plan really, really good. So we've this is my 17th or 16th MMA fight. Not to mind the other fights I had in boxing and Thai boxing. So I'm in no real rush to get a load of fights in. And it's not it's not my source of income. So that slowing down is really good. I can just focus on just getting better now all the time. So yeah, it was a plus.
Nice. And so we discussed as well, just off air there, that you were originally scheduled to face Nathan Epps prior to the craziness of the coronavirus going on. Well, how were you finding preparing for that when there was the uncertainty?
Initially, I kind of didn't think the pandemic was going to be that big a deal. My brother-in-law is a doctor, and I was talking to him 4 weeks out from the fight, or 4.5 weeks out, being like, "Oh, do you think my fight will still go ahead?" And he was even dismissing it. He was like, "Oh yeah, it's not that big a deal. It'll definitely be on." And then fast forward 2 weeks later, it was complete lockdown nearly. So, I actually didn't know that was going to get cancelled till the last minute. So training was going grand for it. And I'd like to do that fight again, definitely down the line.
Yeah, and so when you look at, so obviously we haven't mentioned yet, but you're fighting Alan Brykalski next week. So when you look at, when you compare the two, you were previously scheduled to fight Epps, and now you're fighting Brykalski. Which are you kind of happier now, or what are your thoughts on, is there a difference to you who you're facing, or you said that you want the Epps fight again down the line, but does it really matter to you which of them you fight?
I'm just happy to get a fight. Joe, there's so many fighters that around that can't get anything until maybe next year. So it's grand. I wanted the Nathan Epps fight because Joe, he was a good name, and it was going to be my first good name of pro, and for only my second pro fight, it was a great opportunity for me. But geez, I'm happy to fight this Polish lad as well. I'm just happy to fight. So it's grand. It's all the
Yeah.
same.
And when you're approaching fights, do you look at your opponents a lot, or do you not focus on that too much?
No, not really. Myself, when I was kind of coming up in amateur, I'd be really looking at him and focusing on him. But just now you get a general thing of what he's probably going to do, but you know yourself, for fights you can come out and doing the complete opposite thing. So I just focus on what I'm going to do, especially there's so much uncertainty with lads pulling out and stuff like that, no, I don't focus on him too much. To be honest, I thought his name was Alex when you were saying it there. I didn't know it was Alex.
So I'll take it from that answer then. Yeah, I'm guessing you haven't watched any tape on him or anything like that, have you? Or
Oh yeah, I sconced through a few videos, all right, but I wouldn't be looking at him all day and all night, because
yeah,
if you might be looking at a guy and you might have a really good low kick, or you might have a really good overhand, and then you come out and he hits you with a straight jab, or he hits you with a high kick, so there's I only look at him once or twice and then just focus on me.
If you were to look at it more than that, like, do you think that you'll kind of maybe focus too much on a certain thing? Like you're saying there, maybe it's a low kick, and then that kind of gets in your brain for a while, and you're thinking, oh, and then if they come out and throw a different strike, you're kind of like, oh, what's going on here? I wasn't expecting this. Is that the kind of the mindset there, or like, is that the way you're approaching it?
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. Like I just think of what I can control. You know, I don't control what he does or what he's going to do. I was going to control what I'm going to do. John, I have a pretty good idea what I'm going to do. Like, so that's all I worry about. Like, I don't worry about him at all.
And how, like, obviously, I'm sure you mentioned that you've watched some tape of them, so I'm sure you have an idea, or you may be visualizing kind of how the fight's going. Like, when you look at this fight stylistically, how do you see yourself matching up with them?
Oh, really good. Yeah, I think I'll wreck him. I'm looking forward to it.
Short and sweet answer there.
Yeah, sure. Look, you know, we'll see how it goes now. Like,
Yeah, and one thing that I know I picked up from our last interview that we did was you were speaking about the transition from amateur to pro, and you're saying you were just really enjoying throwing elbows. So how many elbows can we expect to see next Thursday?
oh man, so many. Hopefully anyway. Because like, you know, for the last fight, Joe, like Collie Mahon's obviously the best at training elbows there in the country. Like, and in that last fight, it was only kind of 6 weeks we were training him, because I had the Kenny Mokanoma fight amateur, which was amateur rule set, and then I had 6 weeks of training until the Eric fight. But now I've had a year of practicing and throwing elbows. You know what I mean? So they're a lot better, especially the knees to the head as well. You know, they'll be there in force.
Yeah, and like when you look at yourself now compared to say as you're prepping for that fight in Cage Warriors Cork, like what's the difference now between John Mitchell then and John Mitchell now?
Just a year of hard training, like every day, twice a day. You know what I mean? Like it's not that I change anything drastically in my training, because like Joe, it's just that I'm consistently, since I started, I don't do fight camps. I'm training all year round. You know what I mean? And like, especially I got such a boost from the Cage Warriors fight and publicity and stuff like that, and that I've just been flat to the mat. Like I've been traveling up to Dublin as much as I can sparring. I've been in MMA Cork, really working hard with Aaron Maguire. So just, and like, if you even like camps that are 6 weeks away, I think there's big improvement. So a year, a whole bigger improvement. You know.
Yeah, and you mentioned you're going up to Dublin there. So is that back up to Dublin Combat Academy? Are you still training up there?
Yeah, I am indeed. Every Friday, go up and get humbled a bit, and then come back home. So.
And is it when you go up to Dublin Combat Academy, is that you going up for sparring, or like do you do say positional training, or how does it work? Did you do? I know you do the bulk of your training in MMA Cork. What is it like? What exactly are you doing up in Dublin Combat Academy?
Yeah, so the bulk of my training is MMA Cork with Aaron, and then on Fridays in the morning I do like Thai boxing with Collie, and then in that evening I do sparring against like John Craig and Aaron Brown and like George and all those guys.
Craig Coakley, is it?
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah.
Okay, so high level Muay Thai fighters there.
Yeah, 100%.
And how do the spars go there?
He's good enough, that lad, anyway.
We'll say no more.
Yeah.
John, there must be a good buzz around in the MMA Cork team right now. Your close teammate Jack McGuire is also fighting on the card against Kieran Mulholland. Butchered that name. What's the buzz like there then in MMA Cork?
Oh, it's unreal. And you know, like in MMA Cork itself, like that gym's absolutely thriving. Like there was like, we've such a novice team coming up. I think there's like 20 novices or 18 novices competing. Then we have amateurs, then we have amateurs up at the higher level, and then now we've pros at me and Jack. And like that Cage Warriors card, even in Cork, like MMA is really on the surge. Like that Cage Warriors card coming to Cork was massive. Like it sold out within like 4 days or something mad. Like there was people coming out through the windows for that fight. Like, so it's really good down there at the moment.
And like, did you originally train at MMA Cork, or like, because this gym seems to be, or maybe I'm just unaware. It seems to have really just kind of risen out of nowhere, and like obviously the McGuire brothers were known, and yourself, but as you said, like you're still, the three of you are still quite young, and you're kind of like the elders of the team, and the most senior and experienced and accomplished of the team. So like, how did MMA Cork come about? Or
it's actually a funny story, because initially, so I just met Aaron so randomly, because I went up to MMA Cork and Sion Warriors were in the same gym, and I just met Aaron outside, and I always wanted to do the MMA, but I didn't even know they really had an MMA gym there. And I was talking to Aaron, and initially the team was really small. It was like him, his brother Jack Monaghan, if like he was a really good amateur as well, and we'd a few other lads. And just since then, Aaron's just really good visionary, kept building the gym, and now it's MMA Cork. Like now he's this huge gym and a great facility in Cork with a load of members, you know. So it's really homegrown from Cork, like.
Yeah, and is it different this camp when you have Jack also training for a fight? Like, is it a different experience for you when you have when you have that teammate who you know who's going to be there? He'll be in the dressing room with you. You'll watch each other compete, etc.
Yeah, I've actually fought in the same card as Jack loads of times, and like, even if I'm not fighting, or Jack's not fighting, or Aaron's not fighting, Aaron and Jack are always there for me. Like for every fight, like Aaron's in my corner for every MMA fight and always will be. You know what I mean? So like, it's good, but it's good if Jack's fighting as well, because like, we're both hungry and going for it. Like, so it's great.
Yeah, and you mentioned Aaron there a lot. So obviously Aaron's the head coach of the team, and he's taken up very much a coaching role. But he is a fighter still. So can we expect to see Aaron back competing soon? I haven't seen any news about that yet.
Yeah, 100%. And like, if you actually look at Aaron Maguire, like I kind of think he's like the least known killer there in Ireland. If you look at the lads he's beat and look at the lads he's fought, every lad he fought was seriously good. Like he beat Huey O'Rourke, he beat Pancras Youssef. Do you know what I mean? Like he fought Dylan Logan. So he just doesn't fight in the same card that myself and Jack are on, but he's going to be back after that. And like, 100% expect him to make a run for the Cage Warriors title.
So
Like,
that's yeah. So that's really by design. Then once you guys are fighting, he's assuming the coaching role, and he'll kind of postpone any of his own responsibilities fighting wise to a later date. Then is that it?
yeah, that's it. Yeah, he just prefers to get us out of the way and then fight himself. So.
Of course, fair enough. And like when you look at say Jack's fight with Kieran Mulholland, obviously it's a domestic fight for us Irish. So how do you see that one going? Obviously you'll be
Uh,
biased towards Jack.
yeah. Kieran's really good and all that, but like, geez, Jack since his last fight, like Jack's cut down to bantamweight, and like Jack was UK and Irish #1, and he was wrecking really, really top lads. Like he wasn't getting touched over here, like as an amateur. And then just in that last fight, just he got quite sick before it, and now like he's really got the finger out for this one. He's got a fire under his belly. Like I can't wait to see Jack fight. I'm nearly as excited for that one as I am for my own one. It's going to be really impressive, I think.
Yeah, and when you look at like there's a lot of Irish competing now, and there's a new kind of wave that's coming up through Cage Warriors and also in Bellator. But we have this Cage Warriors trilogy series. So like when you look at that, like are you looking at other fighters in your division? So like I know maybe they've a few more fights than you, but like Oban Elliott's fighting Michał Figlak on the same card as yourself. I know there's some other fights on the other two cards on Friday and Saturday. Are you looking at other fighters and thinking like kind of eyeing them up for later down the road?
No, I'm not really eyeing up any other fighters, but what I am looking at is like, it's really inspiring to see lads like, like Reese McKee and Paul Hughes and Ian Gary, and like how well they're doing and how much hype they're doing, and like I just know that when I made my Cage Warriors debut, everyone was like, oh look, there's this kid from Cork and he's going to be up there. So like they're still a bit higher than me there and people talking about him, but I know once I make a big step this fight and the next fight, I'm going to be right up there with them and people are going to be talking about me too. Because like, I was still I never lost in Ireland in amateur MMA, and like I can't wait till they just start like getting a bit of credit for my name now. So I don't look at like other lads I'm fighting. If I have to fight them, I'll fight them anyway. So I'm just looking at the other top guys inspired by them.
Yeah, and so you're not looking at opponents, but like, do you have a path where you see yourself kind of like a plan, like a 2 or 3 year plan for Cage Warriors? Like,
Uh, really, Aaron just sets kind of my plan, if you know what I mean. Like I'm just going to take whatever fight he sets out in front of me and just go out and win him. Like, and the rest will take care of itself. Just like it did at amateur. Do you know what I mean? Like Aaron just had a plan for me to win all the amateur belts, and we did that. Like, and now he had a plan for me in Cage Warriors. So just see how it goes.
yeah, and when you look, so obviously I'm sure Aaron does a lot of the scouting and things like that, but when you look at it, like, what is it more important to you, say, to keep that say undefeated record that you were talking about there and continue to build on it, or is it more important for you? Like different fighters take different approaches to the matchmaking and stuff like that. So is it more important to you to maybe have like tougher fights? So like that Eric Nolan fight, for example, that was a very high level fight for you coming in your pro debut, and Eric only had a couple of pro fights, kind of two very solid Irish fighters. So is it important to you to take those tough fights rather than say just trying to get to like 7-8-0 and then looking for a title shot? Or
100%. Sure, look, my second fight was supposed to be at Nathan Epps, and he's supposed to be a Muay Thai world champion or something. Like, it's all about taking the hard fights. If you look at amateur, that's what we always did. Like, and like that's what I think about everyone in Cage Warriors is like. Everyone in there, I think, is taking hard fights, and that's why I'm so happy to be there. Like, at the end of the day, like, who gives a shit about that? Oh, it's about fighting the best lads in the world, and that's kind of why I wanted to do this for anyway. Like, so do you know what I mean? So definitely take the harder fights. Every gym I train in, that's the ethos as well. You know what I mean?
yeah, of course. And So like when you're there's a lot of Irish fighters, there's a lot of fighters in general, cage wars. There's a big buzz right now, and Reese just went to the UFC. There's many others behind him before him that went
It's
to the
unreal.
UFC, and but I've noticed there is a real, like, not just Irish fighters but also English and Welsh. A lot of young fighters coming up, kind of vying for those big spots and looking to be the next guy. What do you need to do to make yourself stand out from the crowd?
I just put a war every fight, like, you know what I mean? Like in my last fight with Eric, like everyone was talking about that fight. Like I think that was fight of the night, you know, like people are going mental at it. And I'm sure this fight next week when I bring my elbows with me is going to be a pretty mad fight as well, you know. So that's it. Just keep going out and giving an absolute welly, you know, proper Cork form.
Proper Cork form. And right, John, last question. I'm going to get you to give us a prediction. Tell us how the fight's going to go, method of victory, all that.
Uh, I'll just light him up with my feet, hopefully, and put him away with leg kicks. If I had to say, you know, but don't want to be talking too much shit either. I'll get killed.
Staying grounded. Good man,
Yeah,
John.
yeah.
Right, well, I'm very much looking forward to seeing you fight again. I think you've got a great fan friendly style, and yeah, I think it's a great time for Irish MMA. So anyone watching this, first of all, thanks for watching, thanks for listening. But check it out. So we've got Cage Warriors 114 on Thursday, live on UFC Fight Pass. We've got Cage Warriors 115 on Friday, Cage Warriors 116 on Saturday. The Cork lads are going to represent for Ireland on Thursday. So best of luck with the rest of the cut. I see you're absolutely shredded at the moment, so fair play to you.
Yeah.
I'd say you haven't seen a carb in a long time. So
I can't wait.
actually,
to see him again.
last question for you. I lied. What is your go-to post-fight meal?
It's actually like when I was younger, it used to just be ridiculous. Like I'd be straight just getting someone to shit into me. But now I'm working with Yannick McGee, so like he has me on a strict thing. But it's after the fight.
Yeah, did you get a cheat meal though or no or anything?
Oh Jesus, yeah! When the fight's done, I'm going to Amsterdam the next day, and there'll be all sorts of things coming in.
Good man, right? We'll leave it. Say no more about that, John.
Yeah, it's a fact.
Yeah, John Mitchell, really appreciate your time. Best of luck with your fight next week, and I'll speak to you after.
Yeah, thanks a million. Cheers. Thanks for that.